How to Trolldier Market Gardener Basics by SoundSmith. I ended up doing some spy practice with the conclusion of the Spy Psychology series, and I actually ran into a Market Gardener Trolldier. So I figured, let's go and take a look at how they actually function so I know how to fight this a lot better.
195 is my favorite number. I'm not sure if it's Pavlovian or what, but at this point, I'm pretty sure my brain is just hardwired to release dopamine whenever it hears this sound and sees that number. And honestly, I feel like the reason for that is pretty simple. It's because this, oh my god, is really fun. If you're watching this video, I think it's safe to say that you'd agree with me on that, but maybe don't quite know where to start. And that's okay. I mean, yeah, this playstyle is fun, but it can also seem pretty complicated if you don't know what you're doing. So let me just cut straight to the chase. You want to know how to Trolldier? This is where you start.
I'm ready for this.
As you probably guessed from the title, Trolldier is a playstyle primarily centered around the Market Gardener, an unlockable melee weapon for Soldier with which we'll be using one specific stat. Deals crits while the wielder is rocket jumping. What this means is that if you blow yourself up and launch your body into the stratosphere like a complete madman, well, congratulations, your shovel is now absurdly powerful, and until you hit the ground, will deal 195 damage with every swing. Now, normally when you rocket jump, you would damage yourself. It's a trade-off that you give for that mobility. But we're also going to be sidestepping that health cost by using another one of Soldier's unlockable weapons. Okay, maybe calling it a weapon is a little bit of a stretch. The rocket jumper is
I actually wasn't sure if anyone used this. I wasn't sure enough about this, right? Because I think I see a lot of people using stock. Like, Soldier is one of those that it's going to be one of those classes I'm going to have a large learning curve with. Yeah, I like things like the Beggar's Bazooka offhand. I did get a funny silver bot, stock reskin out of MVM, right? But, like, I have very little Soldier experience, so this is super fascinating to me. I'm going through and just learning each of the classes sequentially as I can.
Primary replacement for Soldier that functions exactly like the stock rocket launcher, except it does no damage whatsoever to enemies or to the user. Originally, it was meant to be used as a training launcher so that new jumpers could practice without blowing themselves up every 5 seconds. But we're essentially going to be abusing that to fling ourselves across the map at warp speed, power up our comically large spoon, dive bomb right next to somebody, and hopefully kill them right before we land. If you're new to this whole Team Fortress 2 thing, yeah, that probably sounded a little intimidating. This playstyle has a lot of moving parts to it, but don't panic. To make this easier to digest, let's just go ahead and break this whole sequence down into 3 parts. The jumping stuff, the airborne stuff, and the shovel stuff.
Okay. Easy. I like it. I like how we're breaking this up. Hello again.
I'm fast. I'm so fast, you couldn't even comprehend how fast I am.
Okay, first things first. In order to power up our gardener, we need to rocket jump. To do this, start walking, look at any surface, then jump, crouch, and shoot all at the same time.
I actually didn't know the crouch one. I knew that there was a momentum thing. Like, I was able to intuit it actually mid-man versus machine when I was trying to do it with the stock. It seems that if you try to move, it throws your momentum off. So so move in the direction that you're going and kind of release. Like, so if you're holding W to go forward, right? You would aim down, you would jump, and while you're mid-jump, you, like, let go of W and let the rocket explosion propel you, is the conclusion I came to without literally looking at anything else. So the crouching aspect of this, that's actually really interesting.
And that's it. That's a rocket jump.
Yeah, well, actually, crouch timing can vary if you're using specific techniques like C-tapping. And
No. Okay, don't listen to that guy, okay? If you're just starting out, don't worry about any of that complicated shit, all right? For now, all you need to know for the timing is to just do them at the same time.
I actually like this, and I think that because Jonto did the same thing with his Spy Psychology series. So it's not that the Reddit user, right, is doing the whole buh thing. Like, what they're saying, I'm sure, comes into play later, right? Like, it's how you sequence information, right? Like, if I'm telling you something about, like, I don't know, like advanced theory or theoretical metagame knowledge in something, and you barely know what you're doing, right? Like, take a game like Yu-Gi-Oh! If I'm talking to you about metagame theory in regards to how Fiendsmith affects the metagame, especially Link 1s and what Fiendsmith Requiem can do, right? I'm pretty sure I just lost like 90% of you, but that's the point. Or do I tell you, this is literally how the game functions. See that? The star 1 through 4, cool, just drop it down, right? And then just read the card, right? You build up from those base building blocks. And I think that the Team Fortress 2 YouTubers that I've seen, all of them have a very firm grasp on this. I really like how they break things down into those fundamental components and then build up on it. Like the entirety of the Spy Psychology finale was just like, all right, you've literally learned all of this. Now I can talk to you about trick stabs because you have that knowledge, you have that experience, theoretical experience, right, from the video, from watching his series, to apply in a practical setting, going in games, going into pubs, playing Spy, and building on that theoretical knowledge. We literally did that on stream. I actually got backstabs. Like, the series works.
Okay? Okay. Now, after you press those 3 buttons at the same time, let go of W. This is because of something that I'm going to explain later in the video, but for now, just trust me. Don't hold W in the air. Ever. Seriously, stop it.
Well, actually...
Once you've got this basic motion down, we need to start controlling where we go with the jump. This is actually the most difficult part of Market Gardening. The hard part isn't swinging the shovel, it's rocket jumping next to them so that when you swing the shovel, it actually connects. You aren't exactly aiming a gun at the enemy gamers, it's more like you're aiming your entire body.
Right.
Nice throw!
So let's talk about rocket placement.
I like that edit. I think the bowling analogy was peak.
Where and how fast you fly when you rocket jump is primarily determined by where the explosion happens relative to where you're standing.
What?
So to keep things simple, let's just look at it like this. If the explosion happens here, you'll go this way. If the explosion happens here, you'll go that way. And if the explosion happens here, you'll still go that way, just faster. Now things are gonna get a little tricky when we try to extrapolate this to a 3-dimensional space, because now we also have to worry about all this vertical shit. Shooting closer to yourself on the ground will make you go faster, yes, but it will also cause you to go higher instead of further, which could be a problem. But remember, the rocket doesn't have to be on the floor. It can be on any surface. Walls, props, payload carts, all of these are fair game, and it pays off to be creative here. The last
By jumping off these, I'm able to keep the rocket close to me while also keeping it relatively high compared to my hitbox. This translates into faster jumps. They're also lower to the ground. Interesting. Making sure I read that again. Rocket placement, where and how fast you fly when your rocket jump is primarily determined by where your explosion happens. I think it's interesting, yeah, because the closer it is to you, the closer it is to your center, and I'm sure that there's some calculation or some actual like coding thing in regards to how far or close something needs to be to have an effect, right? Yeah, I this is an entire system, and I really love this. Like, the game doesn't inherently explain this to you. Like, TF2 gives you the engine, grats, work in the engine. I love it. I love that there's this much tech and this much like ability to play in the game, and there's a high mastery skill ceiling. It's phenomenal. I modern games don't even come close in a lot of ways.
thing you need to remember for a basic rocket jump is to keep walking in the direction that you want to jump up until you jump. If you're moving your aim around with your right hand to place your rocket, that might mean you have to change up what your left hand is doing on WASD to keep going in the same direction. So for example, if I'm aiming to jump off of a wall on my right, but I keep walking forward with W, I am now walking into the wall instead of forward, and that means I'm going to lose speed on the jump. Instead, what I would want to do is swap to pressing A as I aim at the wall. So this way, I'm now strafing to the left along the wall, and I'm moving in the same direction that I'm trying to fly as I jump.
You're moving parallel to the wall rather than colliding into the wall. So you're, instead of perpendicular, you're moving parallel. That is going to be a large learning curve for me. But it's so cool.
Yes, dude! I know this is a lot of information to digest, and a lot of what I'm talking about is gonna take some practice to get down. But unfortunately, this is a multiplayer game, and as you might have guessed, you aren't going to be able to practice very effectively if there are people trying to kill you. So instead of going into a casual server and trying this out, what I'd recommend you do is find a place where you can be all alone.
I was not expecting this reference. I like it. Alone. Oh, I haven't seen this in a hot minute.
Specifically, fire up an offline listen server. To do this, make sure your developer console is enabled. You can find this by pressing Advanced on your options menu. Then open it up, type map space, and then any map you feel like practicing on. For this example, I'm using my go-to PLR_Hightower. To make things easier, I've also enabled cheats with SV_cheats1, and I have bound my mouse one to also refill my health and ammo whenever I fire. And now you can jump around and practice to your heart's content. One practice method that I like to use is I pick any destination on the map and then I try to rocket jump such that I can consistently land there from a few different places using a few different kinds of jumps.
I like that, actually. Yeah, it keeps a singular point of reference in mind. I like that. It minimizes moving parts. And like, sure, down the line you can like go through a rotation of places, right? But like, especially in starting out, it's like that place. I want to get to that place, and I can get here consistently from point A. Now I'm going to move to point B and get back to the same exact place. Like, you minimize the amount of moving parts to maximize what your self-reflection and understanding what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. I like that he left these in the description.
So, congratulations! After practicing for a little while, you've managed to get a good feel for basic rocket jumping and where to place your rockets. But if you just hop into a casual game and jump straight at somebody, you realize pretty quickly that we kind of forgot something. They're an enemy gamer, and that means they can game too.
Right. Love it.
So we're in the air, but we're not quite done yet. There are three big things you need to do in this part. And the first one is not only important, but also probably one of the most useful skills you can even learn for any advanced movement in TF2. It's called air strafing. Even if you don't end up committing to the whole Trolldier thing, it'd still be in your best interest to learn how to air strafe, since it's a skill that's usable on every class. It essentially allows you to control your movement while in midair, which can let you dodge projectiles, turn corners faster, and even make some pretty crazy escapes. To do this, hold down one of your two strafe keys, A or D, and then slowly move your mouse in the corresponding direction. So if you're strafing to the left with A, you'd move your mouse to the left. And if you're strafing to the right with D, you'd move your mouse to the right. When you do this correctly, your character kind of curves through the air. Now, there is a limit on how...
I was wondering how this happened, because there's been a couple of reactions we've done where I was wondering what this was, that you have that ability to kind of course correct midair. And I think it's really interesting that this is used on your A and D, like your strafe keys, because like strafing in games is usually tech, right? Whether that's in a game like Smite, whether it's a game like Final Fantasy 14, right? Like, you have WASD, right? But you also have your like Q and E keys, which are kind of like your strafe keys. And naturally, that's why you don't ever like walk backwards. It's why you go forwards. And if you have to do certain things, you're supposed to, instead of correcting with A and D, you're supposed to strafe left and right. Like, this actually kind of encompasses some of that logic, actually. I think it's really fascinating how they make... Really, because like W is one of the most important keys, like in any game, I would argue. You're going forward. I mean, sure, don't get me wrong. Pyros definitely make a lot of use of W. I make a lot of use of W as a pyro, let's be honest, right? This is actually really interesting to see how this game controls.
Fast you can turn though, so don't move your mouse too quickly. It's a slow, gradual thing. If you go faster than the limit, you just kind of stop. I don't know how to describe the exact rotational speed that the limit is set at, and also it changes if you wear man treads, but if you try it out for yourself, it's pretty easy to get a feel for. It does seem pretty simple. It's basically just a combination of two inputs, but there is one big mental roadblock that every new player seems to run into, and that's that thing we talked about earlier. Holding W. The reason you never want to hold W is because it actually prevents you from effectively air strafing. Just compare these two clips of me trying to air strafe without holding W and while holding W, right? It doesn't.
Okay, I think I understand why, though. Holding W, you're still moving forward. The game is still trying to move you forward. But if you don't hold W, you are strictly relying on the momentum of the rocket jump. And if I have that wrong, if I have that completely off base, like, definitely feel free to correct me. Looking at this feels like that's how that would work. I'm sure he's about to explain it too.
Entirely disable it, but it will severely gimp you. Seriously, I cannot overstate how important it is to break this muscle memory early on. Don't hold W, okay? It's not good. Fun little side note, air strafing doesn't just let you control yourself in midair, it also actually causes you to speed up. Some really smart people did some really complicated math about this, and it's, I'm not smart enough to understand any of this, but if you're smarter than me and you're interested in learning more about source engine acceleration vectors, I'll put a link in the description. But in the interest of moving on before I embarrass myself anymore, source engine is dumb, funny wavy line, go zoom. Okay, so
I love this. I love everything about that. That is probably going to be a video I'm watching at like 4 a.m. at some time. Like, that sounds fascinating.
Once you get the hang of air strafing, how does it connect to Trolldier? Well, more air control will essentially let you course correct mid-jump. Obviously, you aren't going to aim a perfect jump every single time, and the person you're jumping at is undoubtedly going to be moving around, sometimes a lot.
Right.
So if you air strafe, you can follow them while you're falling to the ground. Try to predict where you think they'll be when you get to the ground and aim to land right next to that spot. Now, one more thing before we move on, you might have picked up on some key wording there that is super important, but just in case, I want to run it back and play it again.
Sure.
Try to predict where you think they'll be when you get to the ground and aim to land right next to that spot. Aim to land right next to that spot. Right next to that spot.
Not on the spot.
To that spot. Yep, that's right. We are not aiming to land on top of somebody. We are aiming to land next to somebody.
I actually really like this. I like the Sephiroth one. That's a really good edit. That's really cool.
The reason for this has to do with maximizing the time you have to crit someone with your Gardener. Remember, this thing will lose its crit buff as soon as you land. So yes, when your feet hit the ground, you lose it, but you also lose it if your feet hit the top of someone's head. Technically, that counts as landing. But if you land next to somebody, you'll spend more time in melee range, meaning it's going to be a lot easier for you to hit that shovel. So unless you're wearing man treads and you're trying to do the funny stomp, your air strafing should be used to land next to someone. Okay, moving on from air strafing, the second big thing you need to do, thankfully, is a lot more straightforward. Hold crouch and keep holding it until you land. That's it. The reason is the exact same as before. It makes it easier for you to hit your garden. Crouching in TF2 is a little bit weird. If you crouch while on the ground, it brings your torso down, but if you crouch in the air, it brings your legs up. So when you land next to somebody, if you're crouching, again, you have a bigger window to hit that garden. And finally, the last thing you need to do while in the air is remember to pull out your Market Gardener. I know, it's pretty obvious, but it's also very important to remember.
I feel like this is very much mirroring the sentiment of Spy has a gun status.
There's an animation that plays before you're actually able to swing, so you want to do it soon or else it'll be a really awkward landing.
Hi, how are you?
The demo night.
Congratulations, you got to the fun part. And as it happens, this is also the easiest part. All you have to do at this point is hit the target after you get in melee range, but before you hit the ground. You are going to have to swing a little bit early, but this really just comes down to timing. There's a quarter-second delay between when you click and when your melee will hit something, and once you get a feel for this, it'll come naturally. Also, quick side note, you might have noticed that the Market Gardener has a stat that says it reduces its swing speed, but this actually affects the recovery time between the swings and not the actual swing itself.
Oh, so your first one is actually going to be unaffected. That's good information.
The first swing is just going to be the same as every other melee, so just don't even worry about it. Now, if you did all of this correctly,
Sonic soundtrack. I love it.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Now that we've gone over every step of a market garden, I'd like to go through an entire sequence, input by input, and show how it all comes together. I start by walking forward with W, and then I look down and to the right to place my rocket. As I'm doing that, I swap from pressing W to pressing A to make sure I'm still walking forward. Then I jump, crouch, and shoot all at the same time, and immediately press 3 to pull out my gardener. Still holding crouch and A, I move my mouse to the left to air strafe to the left, but I realize I went a little bit too far, so I swap from A to D and slowly move my mouse back to the right to air strafe and get myself back on track. At this point, I'm right on target, and all I have to do is left click at the right time, and boom.
There it is.
I'll go ahead.
I feel like, because you're not trying to like he's like, yeah, you're not moving your mouse like super quickly. It almost feels like you're piloting the Predator missile from like Modern Warfare 2, Like, I don't know. Like, the logic that's coming to mind is, like, imagine you're just a missile. Like, you can't really, like, correct super hard. You have to kind of, like, you know, guide it, baby it a little bit. I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be another analogy someone else has out there that's going to work way better than that.
And play it back one more time at full speed with all the inputs on screen. And that's it. That's a market garden.
Wild. That's gonna be a large learning curve for me. The crouch one, I always forget.
This playstyle is undeniably fun as hell, but it also requires a lot of practice to get the hang of. So here are a few practice tips that really helped me out when I first started. Using an offline listen server is fine for getting the basic jumping motion down, but if you're looking to try out some more advanced stuff, I would suggest you check out Jump Academy's servers. Just type Jump Academy into your server browser and they should pop right up. This isn't
These have actually been recommended to me.
Sponsored, by the way. Their servers are just really good. They released a new map a while ago that covers practically all skill levels of rocket jumping, all the way from basic air strafing to completely insane bullshit. Like, to put it in perspective, what you're seeing right now is one of the medium courses. I can't even make it through the hard ones myself. It's crazy. Wild. Suffice to say, it has a little something for everyone. If you're looking to get a better feel for the timing on your market gardener, though, try out TR Walkway RC2. It's a custom map where it just spawns a bunch of bots walking in a straight line for you. You can customize just about everything about the map, and it's a great environment for just getting the hang of handling your shovel. And even if you can't get the hang of it right away, don't worry. I know it can be a little discouraging, but like, this shit's hard, man. I can't even tell you how long it took me to land my first garden. It's because I lost track. It took a long time, okay? Yeah. It is admittedly a lot of effort for something so silly. But, in my opinion, that dopamine rush is totally worth it. If you keep practicing and you put in the time cultivating your garden, you'll be farming those kills in no time.
What a good outro animation. I love it. I loved it. The animations were clean. I thought this was really full of good information. I liked how it broke it down from the fundamental steps and built it up.
Watching all the way through, or skipping to the end. I ain't gonna judge. If you've watched a lot of my videos, you might be thinking this video seems a little familiar, and that's because it should. This is a remaster of a really old video that, and I'm gonna use a technical term here, sucked ass. I was really dissatisfied with the structure and the editing and the writing and all that on the first one, and while I don't really plan to do this for a whole lot of my videos, I'm probably gonna do a couple more of the How to Trollders, I think up until secondary showcase. Anyway, I'm probably just rambling over the Patreon section, I guess? That's probably over by now. Right. Anyway, like and comment, and only 1 out of 7.5 trillion of my viewers are actually subscribed and all the dumb YouTube stuff. Okay, bye.
Fucking see if they made tweets.
Oh, God, it was good. I loved it. This was a great video. Make sure you go like, definitely give a sub. This is really good content. I absolutely love this. I thought this was structured very, very well. I thought that there was a lot of thought put into this. Look, if a dingus like me can follow something like this, and a dingus like me can follow something like Jonto's Spy Psychology series and make something happen, look, now you know it's good. So thank you everyone for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed. I sure did. Definitely make sure you go ahead and check out SoundSmith, especially if you have not. I've been enjoying a lot of TF2 content. I've been enjoying streaming it over on the Purple app and backing up to the game channel as well. We had a few community nights, and I know a lot of people are enjoying playing. I know a lot of people are enjoying watching. And I will see you all in the next one.